How do you handle stress or struggles, hardships, obstacles, anything that's keeping you from accomplishing your goals? How does your team handle it? Are you prepared for them or do you react to them as they come? The truth is, stress and struggle and hardships are inevitable. Big or small, they're inevitable, uncontrollable even at times. But oftentimes, we don't even think about them until we're actually in the middle of a stress or a hardship. Today, we're going to talk about how you as a leader can recognize those struggles and hardships ahead of time and how to prepare yourself and your team to lead through them effectively so that you can get a leg up on your business's success in the long term. If you get any value from this video or any of the videos on our YouTube page, go ahead and throw in a like, a subscribe, put your notifications on, tell your friends and enemies about the show. Put in the comments your feedback. Let us know how we're doing. And if you comment the word leadership at the end of the video, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. All right, let's go. This is the Libretti Leadership Lab number 6 with me, Libretti. For those of you who don't know, John Libretti, founder of SPEARHEAD Leadership. We are essentially the bar rescue for businesses when it comes to leadership. We come into your business, we work with you and your team individually to help improve your leadership abilities, help you solve your problems to reach the success you're looking for in a much more effective way long term. If you're interested in finding out more, take a look at take a look and check out our webpage at www.spearheadleadership.co. You can check us out on Instagram at _spearheadleadership. You can check us out on LinkedIn at Spearhead Leadership. And of course, this page here on YouTube, and find out more if you're interested in anything like that. So last week we discussed, we bridged a little bit, we connected the dots between having values as a leader and having a vision as a leader. And not just for your business. Obviously, it's vital for your business, but you can also apply those principles to your personal life as well. And I'll put a link here in the top right on YouTube for the previous episode if you want to learn more about the importance of vision and how to use it as that North Star to accomplish your goals in life or in business. It's definitely worth a watch. Check it out. Today, we're discussing something that's a little bit more commonplace for everybody all the time, and that's dealing with struggle, that's handling stress, having obstacles in the way of your journeys, hardships of any kind, conflicts of any kind. These are things that happen all the time in our daily lives, in our day-to-day, business-wise, personal-wise, everything. They're inevitable. And oftentimes, it seems like they're uncontrollable. And even more often than not, they seem insurmountable. And the truth is, most of the time, if not 100% of the time, you can lead through these very effectively to the point where they're not even like problems anymore. And that's something that good leaders are able to do on a regular basis for themselves individually, but also for their teams. Because they know that we deal with stress all the time. And how we identify stress and then how we respond and handle that really makes or breaks our abilities to continue on our journeys or how we're going to handle future stress or hardships. Now, it sounds like all doom and gloom. Oh, we're going to constantly deal with hardships and obstacles that are going to seem insurmountable and everything's going to be high RPM, full throttle all the time with this stuff. In reality, it's never going to be that serious. And again, the truth of the matter is it's all surmountable, for lack of a better term. Okay? When we think of stress and we think of hardships, everybody has their own idea. I just asked that question now. What do you think of when you think of stress or a hardship or an obstacle? Everybody right now, you're all thinking of your own version of that. And some of those are far more drastic than others, far more serious than others. And that's natural. Okay? That's human nature when it comes to stress and even thinking about or talking about it. It's human nature in and of itself just to go to the worst, most negative example when we're thinking about it. So when I say, what do you consider stressful or, an insurmountable hardship that you have to deal with? Most people go right to the most negative and most drastic. Human nature. That's our fight or flight mechanism, our survival instinct kicking in and thinking about that because, again, our ape brain, our primal roots, we needed to think about that stuff all the time. So that's why we think about that. And that's why we kind of have this idea when you hear the word stress, when you hear the word obstacle, hurdle, hardship, conflict, all those buzzwords, you're immediately, heart racing. You're thinking, you're starting to worry, you're getting anxious. You're like, this is all the worst. This is bad, 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 bad. And yes, while it is negative, it's in reality, it's really not that drastic most of the time. It's just how you handle it and then how you expand your comfort zone to make what once seemed like insurmountable, devastating hardships and obstacles and conflicts seem like pieces of cake, walks in the park. And that's the real key. We're going to bring that level down to small little mounds in our paths and our journeys as opposed to huge giant hurdles or obstacles or waves. And that's what good leaders are able to do because they've expanded their comfort zone. They've proven through example that they're going to be there for their team so that their team can also expand its comfort zone. And then they're going to be able to see much more success in the long run. And it really is a game changer if you think about it in these terms, because imagine you're going about your business, day-to-day operations, and you're coming across hurdles and obstacles that are unknown to you, first time situations that you're dealing with. Maybe it's a logistics issue in your import-export business. Maybe it's a computer issue in your tech company, whatever. But it's the first time you're seeing it, you don't know how to solve it. So your alarms inside your body get raised, people start kind of freaking out, getting anxiety and stress over it. And then eventually, more often than not, you figure out a way forward and you move on. Now imagine that problem, that giant hurdle, is a small, very easy to take on mound in the road, if you will. And you don't have to waste nearly as much time, effort, manpower, stress, or anxiety over it at all. And that's really the goal here, is to understand that stress and struggle and hardship are not only inevitable, but they can be used as tools to benefit you in the long run and to make you better in the long run, as opposed to creating victims out of it, for lack of a better term, and letting them get the best of you and reacting to them emotionally. So really quick, when I say the word struggle, I define it as being strenuously engaged with a problem. That's what I'm saying when I say struggle. And hardship is a circumstance that causes suffering. Okay? I use these definitions, A, so that we're all on the same page with what we're talking about, and B, because they use words and verbiage in there that kind of hits the point of what we're talking about. So strenuously engage in a problem, exerting yourself more than normal capacity. And then circumstances that cause suffering, again, something that you're not used to and you don't do on a daily basis. breaking you out of your comfort zone, putting your body and your mind in that survival instinct, fight or flight mode. That's why I wanted to use those definitions and bring them to you, because that's what we're talking about. We want to take those feelings and those body alarm systems that happen to you when you're in struggle and hardship, and we want to expand your comfort zone to the point where it takes a great deal of hardship and struggle for those alarms to be set off again. Because oftentimes when your fight or flight mode kicks in and your brain's basically sort of shuts down to its minimal effort needed, it's really just laser focused in on solve this problem, get back into the comfort zone, back into survive. You're not really capable or able to function as optimally, as effectively as you normally would when you're not in fight or flight mode. But if you expand your comfort zone, expand your abilities to function and lead in fight or flight mode during times of stress and hardship, then your fight or flight mode is going to be more well equipped at the base level. So when your subconscious kicks in and it's time to handle a hardship, your autopilot, your subconscious knows exactly what to do, and it's going to be less stressful for you. You're going to end up leading through it much more successfully, and it's going to help your team in the long run. So, how do we do that? Well, it's scary. Dealing with stress and struggle and hardship is scary because why? Because it's unknown. Most of the time, it's unknown. These new problems arise, and we never seen them before, so we don't know how to get through them. It's very much like the example of you're in a bad job. You have a bad job. Your teammates stink. Your boss stinks. It's miserable, but you know you have to do every day to secure your paycheck and not get fired. If you quit your job, you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know. You could run the risk of joining another company that's going to be the same or even worse. And it's like, I don't want to handle worse. And I know this is the devil I know. So I'm going to stay here in my comfort zone because I know how to survive here in this miserable situation. Meanwhile, your friends and family are looking at you like, this person's crazy. Why would they stay in this job? They're miserable day in and day out. Why would they choose to be miserable? It's because it's comfortable. It's safe. You know it. So when you're dealing with strife and hardship and obstacles, you don't know what's on the other side, and it's scary. But that's okay. It's not nearly the big deal that we make it out to be in our heads. Because if you think back to all the strife and struggle you've dealt with in the past, if you're watching this video, if you're watching this episode right now, you've obviously been through it. You've obviously gone through to the other side and survived and made it through okay. So you have a portfolio of success in that regard. We don't normally think of that way, though, right? We don't think about when we see a new stress or a situation, we don't think about, hey, I've done stuff like this before. I can get through this again, even though this is new to me. We think of it as, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Now, good leaders are able to see these potential stressors and struggles and hardships and lean into them because they've experienced them in the past. They've trained and prepared themselves and their team to be able to handle these new obstacles. So they know confidently, yes, I don't know what the other side looks like, but I know we're going to get there. Okay? And that comes through, again, training, practice, and recognition. Now, how do you train for this stuff? It's on paper, it's tough to even write down. How, what can you do to train for new problems that you don't know are going to arise? Well, in the military, it was a little bit easier because we had boot camps, we had specialized training and leadership exercises that they ran us through that purposely put us in high stress situations to see how we would react to get through them. Now, we can't necessarily put our companies through boot camp style training all the time, but we can take the blueprint and apply the blueprint to your business or to your team that you're working for or that you're leading. Now, the military did it a little bit differently, obviously, because they're training soldiers, airmen, Marines, seamen for combat, for war. And the special operations teams are the frontline guys and gals out there that have an even more high stress environment to deal with, so they have additional training to do. So in boot camp, as soon as you get off the bus in boot camp, you're getting yelled at by everybody. No matter where you are, every instructor and drill sergeant is yelling at you from all sides, in the bus, outside the bus, in the parking lot, wherever. Everybody's yelling at you, telling you different things from different sides, and you don't know what to do. And it immediately puts you in that fight or flight mode. And they do that on purpose because A, they want to see how you're currently equipped to handle that. Okay? B, they want to see how you're going to respond and learn and grow, what the learning curve is to get you to where they need you to be by the time boot camp's over. By the time you graduate and they can check you off as this is a military member, this is a soldier or an airman who's ready to go. We trust them enough to go be put in combat or deployed or whatever to do their job in the face of danger in high stress environments and get the job done still. So there are exercises, team building exercises that you can do with your team to create that. There are some organizations that offer those style of boot camp style training so that you can get your team to go through a hardship together, a high stress situation together, to help build that camaraderie, be able to learn about how their body reacts to stress, and we'll get into that in a second, and then how to be able to more effectively work as a team during those stressful times to handle that. There are several places and organizations and people that offer that level of training, but it's not commonplace. Not every organization, not every department, not every team is able to afford to send their team to do that. And then what do they end up doing? They end up getting some online training. Here's how you handle stress. And then they check the boxes like, we train these people on stress, and that was it for the year. That's your annual training on how to handle that stuff. And again, the truth of the matter is, we're gonna deal with stressful situations all the time, and different levels of stress and hardship too. Think about like when you were a kid. If you spilled milk, there's that saying, "Don't cry over spilled milk," for a reason. It's not for kids, it's for adults, because it's really not a big deal. But when you're a kid and you spill milk and you break the glass and it goes all over the place, oh, this is a problem. How do I handle this? That's not an issue for most adults now. If you spill a drink, oh, okay, I'll just clean it up. It's second nature to you to clean it up, put it away, try not to let it happen again. You have a blueprint, a fight or flight blueprint already ingrained in you to handle that. Now it's that what once was a big problem when you were a child is now not even an issue. It's a minor hindrance, minor annoyance for you in your day-to-day. And there's going to be a lot of those in your day-to-day anyway. And some people are going to handle things differently than you. They're going to see smaller obstacles as bigger obstacles for them, and you're going to see large obstacles that they think are small obstacles and hardships. As a leader of an organization or a team, It's your responsibility to train and empower your team to be able to handle all obstacles of all sizes because they're going to happen regardless. And they could be as simple as an email disagreement between coworkers that turns into a conflict that you have to help resolve. It could be as simple as, like I said, a logistics error in getting a shipment in for clothing material to build dresses. I don't know why I say build, but to sew dresses and create clothing and apparel. It's all different sizes and shapes, and it's an everyday occurrence. This is not a be all end all. I don't want, again, this is not a doom and gloom situation that we're talking about here. We're talking about everyday stress and hardships and obstacles and how to better handle them. Now, some of the ways you can go about doing this. One thing I like to do, and you can do this for yourself, and you can do this for the people on your team as well, if you're a business owner, for your employees as well. And if you're a supervisor or a mid-level manager, frontline supervisor, you can do this for your department and team as well. Think about what happens to your body when you start exhibiting certain emotions, when certain things happen in your life that make you sad, certain things that happen that make you scared, that make you angry, that create an emotion. What happens to your body physically? Think about it. And recognize it when it happens. So when you're at home and something happens to you and you're getting angry, actively take the time while you're in that moment. Take the time to be aware of what's going on in your physical body right at that moment. And what I mean by that is look at, does your hair on your arm stand up? Do you get butterflies in your stomach? Do you start feeling hot? Does your body start feeling hot? You start sweating a little bit more. Do you start getting the nervous shivers? What is your body doing as a response to that emotion or feeling? And the more frequently you actively think about stuff like that to find out what your triggers are, the more subconsciously you're going to be able to recognize it when a big stressor might come about, or an obstacle comes about, or a hardship comes about. Because now you're like, oh, I got butterflies in my stomach. I must be nervous. This is a nerve-wracking situation I'm in. So it's the act of actively thinking about it. It's the act of awareness that you work on in the good times, essentially. You work on those daily whenever you have the ability to take the time to think about that. You do that on a regular basis, it starts becoming part of your subconscious. And then when you are in a bit of a hardship or struggling through something, instead of reacting to the emotions, now you're taking ownership of that response, because you know how your body is setting an alarm for you. It's giving you a specific trigger, and now you know that. So like, oh, I'm getting angry because my body is starting to feel hot, my head's feeling hot, I'm starting to sweat. This is what happens when I'm angry. So instead of reacting to that angry emotion, you can take the step back, take a deep breath, and start thinking about the solution that needs to be done logically. That's just an example. Again, it's very tough to over a YouTube video and a podcast to have, very in-depth training when it's not as interactive and you're not dealing with specific situations. But creating a second nature of understanding your triggers and being able to respond and take ownership of your response as opposed to reacting emotionally is a great way to be able to handle stress individually, and then helping your team do that as well. Now, that's another thing that I don't think enough people recognize is that when your heart starts racing in certain situations, stress and unknown, hardship environment, high stress environments, for lack of a better term, excuse me. Um, most people don't recognize that that's not something that's bad that's happening to you. That's your body's notification system for you, letting you know ahead of time, hey, trouble's ahead. And by being aware, working on your awareness and improving your awareness and practicing and training to that during, again, the quote unquote good times, you're creating the muscle memory for your fight or flight mode to take over when you're actually dealing with stress so that you know what's happening and you know how to respond and lead through it. And that's a big thing I want to make a point of real quick now in all aspects of leadership development training and why training is so important for things like how to handle stress, conflict resolution, or things that maybe you don't see happening in your day to day as often. Because when those things do happen in life and in business, that should not be the first time you're trying to figure out solutions to get through them. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you train during the quote unquote good times when it's easy, so that when the one time every 10 years situation does arise, it's not nearly as much of a problem or an issue to lead through and to effectively get through it. Repetition. That's the name of the game with most of these leadership traits and skill sets that we talk about on the show here, and that our guests will have to talk about and how they're so successful. It's through repetition. Okay, you're creating the habit patterns to be a better leader and for your team to be more successful working together. So that's why I always harp on doing this stuff when the times are easy, practicing when the times are easy. So when the times get tough, they're really not that tough anymore. Remember when I said dropping the level down of hardship? That's how you do it. You build your awareness and run through scenarios and training and development in the easy times on repeat as often as possible until it becomes second nature to you. So now, as the leader, if you're a supervisor, own your own company, own your own business, all eyes are going to be on you. Okay. And as I mentioned before, good leaders lean into the hard times because they know they're going to expand their comfort zone in the long run. They're confident in their abilities that they currently possess as a leader, and that they're going to get their team through it, and then now they're gonna add to their tool belt of things that they can get through. Okay? So as a leader, you have to understand all eyes are going to be on you through your actions and how you handle these less than ordinary situations. Okay? And here's the piece that I think is overlooked when it comes to quote unquote stress and hardships and obstacles and things like that, all those buzzwords. More often than not, in business and your day to day, they come to fruition in the form of arguments between coworkers. Again, angry emails that get sent out, misconstrued emails, breakdowns in communication, little tiffs between employees. That's where that manifests. Okay, that's what you're going to see more often. You're not going to see giant economic stock market crashes like they had, like back in the 80s or in 2007, 2008 timeframe with the housing market crash. Those are those are big hardships that don't often happen. We're talking about the more frequent day-to-day little less than hardships, if you will, that you're gonna be dealing with. And the good leaders who are able to deal with those and make those to not even be issues at all, those are the ones that have much more long-term success in their businesses and their teams because they're not wasting time and energy and potentially losing employees over things that they should be able to get through pretty easily. So as a leader, your team is going to be looking to see how you respond to those more common hardships and struggles and stressors. If there's an argument between employees, are you flying off the handle and punishing them both and yelling at them both in front of everybody? Are you getting debilitated by slightly late payments by a customer or client? How are you handling those regular things, those more common uncontrollable stressors and hardships that arise in a business? Because if you can't handle those with poise and confidence, how are you going to be able to handle those big tsunami level hardships that happen once every 10 to 25 years? So that's why I say it's important to train on a regular basis, get those repetitions in with training like this because it's so simple to do. It just takes you taking the time to actively be aware of how your body is reacting to emotions and feelings, and then taking the step back to respond to those as opposed to reacting to the emotions of it. It's simple little practice things. It's going to make your life so much easier personally and in your business. And your team is gonna feel like a weight's off their shoulders because they know, yeah, my boss has it figured out, has it dialed in. If something goes wrong, I know our boss, our supervisor is going to help us. We're going to get through it. And that's a comfort level that you want your team to be in. Again, that's a weight off their shoulders that's going to allow them to focus more on providing greater value to the team as opposed to having that constant anxiety of like, ooh, the economy's looking bad. This is not good. I can't imagine what the boss is going to do once the economy tanks again, or once this happens, or once that happens. I'm telling you, that's not a good place to be as an employee. I've been there when I've dealt with poor leaders in the military, poor flight commanders or squadron commanders or whatever the leadership was at the time that was not so great. Those conversations happened at the lower levels. The writing would be on the wall. Oh, we're going to have to go conduct this mission. I don't want to be in the room when the boss finds out about this. Now, you make your jokes and all, but at the end of the day, that's not a good place for your team to be. So as the leader, you want to make sure that you're confident in your abilities, in yourself, and you have those repetitions to be able to handle those. You expand your comfort zone so that you can help your team expand their comfort zone. And then the other piece there is to also be aware that, once again, while you're a team, there are individuals in the team. So everybody has their own individual levels and thresholds of their comfort zone, essentially, for lack of a better term. I keep saying the term comfort zone, but that's what I'm talking about. I always go back to this little, I guess, example, anecdote, what have you. The worst thing that's ever happened to somebody is the worst thing that's ever happened to them. And what I mean by that is a Navy SEAL going through an operation, dealing with, getting fired at. Maybe they get shot. Maybe their wingman goes down. And that's the worst thing that's ever happened to them. They lost a brother in arms in combat. Myself in high school, middle school, the worst thing that happened to me was I broke my arm. But at the time, that was the worst thing that's happened to me. So I reacted to that as you would when you're experiencing the worst thing that ever happened to you. So instead of being quick to judge your team members, your employees, on what they consider to be the worst thing, where their threshold is, you have to understand that. You have to have a level of empathy for that. And you have to be able to recognize that and respect it, because one of your jobs as the leader is to get your team as a whole to a certain threshold to be able to handle stress and hardship more effectively. You want them to all be generally at the same level of comfort to be able to handle stress and hardship, right? So you have to know where everybody's starting block is, and everybody's is going to be different. All right, Joey in accounting might think that if he gets a paper cut, he can't work the rest of the day. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to him this year, and he's not able to function. Meanwhile, Kathy over there in HR gets paper cuts literally every day, and she powers through. It's not even a problem for her. So you got to understand that. Now, you can't cater to everybody all the time. You have to make sure that you're doing what's best for the team as a whole, but you should have a good understanding and awareness of people's thresholds in that regard. And we'll talk about more of that in the future. As a leader of a team or a business owner, you want to have that level of understanding of your team members in most aspects of the professional world, because having that level of understanding and that level of empathy is going to allow you to set them up for success and set your team up for the most long-term success, because then you can put them in positions where it's empowering their strengths. You can help them focus on improving their weaknesses. You can help them expand their comfort zones. You can help build relationships better that way. You can help handle conflict better that way. So having an understanding and recognizing and respecting your team's individual unique stress thresholds, is going to help, in the long run a lot. And the last thing I'll say about this is really a reiteration: repetition, repetition, repetition. I'll never forget one of the things my high school baseball coach used to say. Just that exact thing: repetition, repetition, repetition. And let me tell you something. There was no team, no high school baseball team in the state of New Jersey in 2005. I think that's when I graduated high school. There was no baseball team more prepared to play baseball than our team was, because every day, this repetition, repetition, repetition. You practice and practice and practice. So when it comes time for game time, when those stressors hit, it's second nature to handle them and lead through them. That's all I got today, guys and gals. Before we go, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars of staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stress, more genuine human being, and a better leader overall in life. Number one, exercise every day. Do something every day to improve your health and fitness and wellness, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do: don't be a negative person, be a kind person. Don't add to the crap and negativity and the chaos in the world as much as you want to, as easy as it might be, and as hard as it is to not fire off those mean tweets or whatever. Recognize your body's emotional state when you want to be negative towards someone, even if you think they deserve it. Recognize your body's triggers and alarms take a deep breath, take a step back, and remove yourself from that situation altogether. Just don't do anything. Close the laptop, turn the phone off, whatever. And that way you'll minimize the negativity and garbage going on in the world around you. And you'll allow yourself the capacity to go do more positive, productive things with your lives. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you could do this each and every day, even a little bit, by actively taking time to think about just one good thing in your life and what your life would be like without that thing. And that right there will immediately put you in a state of gratitude. And the more often you're emotionally in a state of gratitude, the less often you're going to be living in the negative world. And which means the more time you'll have to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercising every day, exercising your mind, body, and soul. You do these three things a little bit each and every day, repetition, repetition, repetition. I promise you, in the long run, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, and a better leader overall in life. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, put your notifications on, comment your feedback. You can DM us on Instagram at _Spearhead Leadership if you have feedback or questions that you don't want public in the comments. You can check us out on our website, www.spearheadleadership.co. Comment leadership in the bottom of this video right now at the end here, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you have a topic idea, if you have a situation you're dealing with in your business or your job or your personal life that you want some leadership advice on, you want us to talk about that topic or situation, put it in the comments. Let us know how we're doing. We feed off of your comments. We are here for you. So please let us know how we're doing and what else we can do and what we can do better. Thank you again for tuning in. Love you guys. Stay strong.